Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys had a great weekend. It was Father's Day weekend also, so that's why I didn't do a stream last night. I was busy with my family, and then we had a birthday party to attend to as well, so I got home late, and I figured it's gonna be too late. So we got a bunch of stuff to go over tonight. Obviously, we got Bitcoin doing pretty well today until Trump spoke. We'll talk about that a little bit. Miners did pretty good today as well, so that was nice to see there. We'll take a look at the miners, how they did last week against Bitcoin. We'll take a look at the miners' latest short data that we have on them. We'll also take a look at the miners' enterprise value to market cap comparison there. We'll look at that. There might be something else that we look at as far as metrics involved. We'll look at some time horizons for Bitcoin miners against Bitcoin. Bullish news on Bitcoin as well. We have that. We have a story from Hive as well, and a story about Amazon and electricity. We'll cover that, and then we'll get into the miners and things like that. And then we'll get into Q&A. So it's going to be pretty action-packed today, okay? But as always, you guys know this, not financial advice, for only. Do your own research, full disclosure below that, as always. And if you guys would be so kind, and gals, if you could hit the like button and subscribe, that helps me out tremendously and doesn't cost you a thing. All right, let's get into a bit what's going on with Bitcoin here really quick. So like I spoke earlier on, Trump tweeted about Iran and Tehran, specifically Tehran, to evacuate. And we also saw a bunch of U.S. Air Force tankers, basically, the ones that fly in the sky, that refuel the planes, take off as well. So that spooked people off. Well, spooked the markets. You got plenty of people with itchy trigger fingers on the sell button there, selling Bitcoin as that happened. We can see that here on the 1 hour chart really well. You can see when that news came out, it just dipped pretty good here. So we had that happen. We also had Trump leave the G7 summit from Canada early to go to the White House. So something's definitely happening there. That spooked people off as well. But other than that, Bitcoin's doing actually really good today. Love seeing the action on it. Things were starting to bounce back for us. And that's why I kind of titled this video, Trump wants Bitcoin to dip a little bit here. I think it's maybe going up too high. And they want to buy Bitcoin at a much lower price, right? Bitcoin, Trump and his team and the company that he runs there, or the company the family runs there, are trying to buy Bitcoin, right? $2.5 billion to buy Bitcoin. So was that part of it, just to kind of spook the markets a little bit? Maybe, maybe not. We know that they definitely want to buy a lot more Bitcoin here. That could be the case. You just never know with them. But I think it would be to him and his family advantage if Bitcoin did dip a little bit here, right? And it did. Probably not as much as they probably wanted it to dip, but it did dip nonetheless. I think this is still a pretty healthy rally that we're in right now as it is. Bitcoin had a nice day today, like I said. It was up at a high today of 109,000 exactly, and then it fell back down here. We closed at 106,853, which was still pretty good. We were up 1.19%. At one point, we were up almost 3% plus on the day. So that was a good day for us here. Let's take a look at what's going on with fuel really quick here as well. See if that's coming back down. It's still at $73. We talked about it last week a little bit, how that one went up like 8% or more during that day when the conflict between Israel and IREN started out, right? So that was last Friday. We talked about that a little bit as well. But the miners had a pretty good day today. Overall, Bitfarms was up 1.37% here, still way below where it should be, I think. BitDeer was up 6.94%, so it's still above the 200 simple day moving average. So that one's looking pretty good there. Cypher was up 5.65%. It's still above the 100 simple day moving average. It's going to have a ways to go before it gets to the 200 simple day moving average. Cleanspark was up 3.44%. And it has battled in the past with the 200, but couldn't stay above it. So it's kind of trying to get back up there a little bit now, it looks like. CORZ is up a little bit, 1.6%. It's holding steady above the 200 simple day moving average, so that's good there. Hive was just up a little bit here, 0.53%. Hut 8 was up 5.61% above the 200 SMA as well. IREN was up 5.8, nicely above the 200 SMA. Mara was up just a little bit here, 1.86%. Riot was up 4.63%. That one's nicely still holding above the 200 SMA. And then Wolf was up nice today, 7.71%. It's still between the 200 and the 100 SMA as it is. MicroStrategy, today, we'll talk about this, bought some more Bitcoin. It is down today 1.16%. It has been trading sideways here, even though they've been buying like every single week here more Bitcoin to their treasury. Bitcoin still has been doing pretty well, so that's kind of surprising that that thing has been a non-performer here in the last, I would say, what, 2-3 weeks or so, maybe even longer, maybe a month even. Are people getting out of that one and going into other plays potentially, like Metaplanet and others? Possibly. Could they be going into miners as well? Possibly. We don't know. We're not there. Galaxy was up a little bit, 2.93% today. What else do we have here? Coin was up nicely, 7.7% on the day right now. Semler was up 3.18%, and then the blockchain group was up another 2.2. I mean, this thing, like I've said before, this thing was a rocket here happening. GameStop was up 5.3. Small miners were up for the most part. Digihost, or DigiPower now, was up nicely today, 25% up on the day. What happened there? I didn't see any news for it. Digihost Power maintained with $2.50 share by H.C. Wainwright. Okay, this was 4 days ago, so there's nothing really going on there unless something behind the scenes is happening here and some insiders are buying maybe. Who knows? On that one, the ETF for the Bitcoin miners here did good today. BitQ was up 4.86%, BKCH was up 4.4%, DAP was up 6.62%, and WGMI was up 4.45%. So those did pretty good. Happy to see those doing pretty good as well. My retirement account thanks them. All right, so there's the gist on what happened with the markets today with Bitcoin and the miners here. Let's take a look at where Bitcoin is right now for the quarter and for the month here of June. We're still up 20.72% on the quarter here for second quarter. And for the month of June, we're still only up 1.69%. We're almost, well, we are pretty much halfway through the month as it is already. So it's turning out to be a pretty, how would I describe this? Lackluster, I guess you could say, month so far at least. Performance-wise for Bitcoin, love to see it go up a little bit more here. We'll see if we can finish out strong towards the end of the month here on that one. Bitcoin ETF inflows continue to be pretty massive still, all things considered here. You can see last week, BlackRock continued to buy in 288 million. This Thursday and Friday, 239 million there. Today we'll find out what they actually bought, but I'm guessing they probably bought a lot more. So we still have plenty of consecutive days of BlackRock and others buying potentially as well. Bitcoin ETF inflows are positive, right? So they're just taking the Bitcoins that are on the exchanges and putting it on their own balance sheet there. So that's looking good there. All right, let's get into the good news stories that we have here on Bitcoin here really quick. We got a couple of stories here. 1.6 trillion Bank of America just acknowledged Bitcoin is once in a 1,000 years technology, right? Who would have thought that they would have ever said something like that in the past? Just go back a year and a half. Would any of these banks have said this? They linked, oh gosh, they compared it to like the internet, AI, things like that. That it's one of those things that's going to change civilization in a really good way, I think. Next story here. Polymarket users predict a 97.5 chance that the Fed will cut rates this week. You guys are saying, 81% of you are saying in my poll here that the Fed will not cut rates. It will be interesting to see how this plays out. Will they actually cut the rates or will they not? The CPI data came in pretty good. I think that might, maybe we'll have to wait and see, but maybe that will push them over and actually get a rate cut here happening. If that does happen, you know what's going to happen. The money printing machine is going to go burr like crazy, and that's going to just possibly send Bitcoin at that point up much higher here. So this might be good news if this actually happens later on this week. And then breaking here, billionaire Michael Saylor appointed official Bitcoin advisor to the government of Pakistan. BTC reserve confirmed, massive, right? So this is definitely interesting news there that he's going to act as a advisor for them on it. And he's probably like one of the best people to be as an advisor for Bitcoin and strategy and holding it and things like that and how to get more of it. So again, adoption, you're getting more and more countries getting into Bitcoin. You got companies, you got everything else and under the sun here happening with Bitcoin where large corporations, governments and everything else is buying Bitcoin, but we got retail that's kind of capitulating and selling out of Bitcoin, it seems like. I mean, who else would be really selling there? So that's kind of interesting to note. Also on strategy here, has acquired another 10,100 Bitcoin for 1.05 billion at a cost of 104,080 per Bitcoin. It has achieved Bitcoin yield of 19.1% year to date. As of as of today, they huddle 592,100 BTC acquired for 41.84 billion at an average price of 70,666 per Bitcoin, as it is. So they're only 7,900 Bitcoin away from having 600,000 Bitcoin. If they continue the rate that they're going at, I mean, they're going to be at possibly close to like, I would say maybe between 600 and 750,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year here. Just at the rate that they're buying here, 10,000 a week. Sometimes they bought even more than that. It'll be interesting to see where they end up this year. But man, these guys are relentless. They should have been called relentless instead of strategy. on that one. So that's awesome to see. Next here is Cardano founder. Just announced he's planning to buy $100 million in Bitcoin for their treasury. So Cardano, ADA there, is going to have BTC yield basically. Imagine if other coins do this, where they start using their own coins to buy Bitcoin, putting it on their treasuries as well as an asset. That's just crazy there. So we will see how this plays out, but this is good. More Bitcoin being bought up here. I love seeing that. And then next here we have just in 1.6 billion film studio. Angel buys 300 Bitcoin and launches BTC treasury strategy. Selling fee for digital gold. Let's go. Exactly, right? So we're seeing more and more of this happening with smaller companies. Even this $1.6 billion studio here is buying Bitcoin. If you get one studio to do it, you're going to have others that are much bigger than they are. Imagine if Marvel or somebody like them, Universal, starts buying Bitcoin and putting it on their treasury here. That is awesome. I love seeing this. So again, adoption is happening here. Love seeing that. I'm sure you guys love seeing that as well, because again, that takes Bitcoin off the exchanges, out of OTC desks, and puts it on cold storage wallets and hardware wallets potentially, and off the grid there. So that's awesome. It means we're going to get a supplies crunch eventually happening here with it. Okay. Now onto the minor news here. We have news from Hive here. Hive Digital Technologies to release their fiscal March 31st, 2025 Q4 and full year 2025 financial results and holding earnings call on June 22nd. That should be basically in a week. Next week they're going to do that. So we'll take a look at their data here. They're always a little bit late when they report their fiscal year-end numbers, because those are audited. So those always take a little bit longer to get the data on those. So we'll definitely cover that when that does happen here. So that's coming up next week here. And something else I wanted to cover here for you guys as well is Amazon signs nuclear energy deal to power AI data centers. This is the deal that they worked on last year with, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the company here, but we'll talk about it here nonetheless. So tech company Amazon recently signed a deal with Talon. Okay, I was thinking of Talon and I was right. Talon Energy, a powerful infrastructure and provider company for 1,920 megawatts of nuclear energy to fuel Amazon Web Services and AI data centers in Pennsylvania through the year 2042. According to the announcement from Talon, the energy will be produced at the company's Susquehanna nuclear facility and provide power to Amazon facility in the region, with additional plans to explore small modular reactors, SMRs technology. That is freaking interesting as heck and awesome at the same time. We've been talking about these small modular reactors now probably for about a year. I've been talking about it here, talking about it on X Spaces as well. This is something that we see coming for data centers, even mining companies as well. Could possibly get into it depending on the costs associated with it. But you're going to need more and more nuclear power to power the future, basically, whether it's going to be AI, robotics, anything else like that. Things are moving more into battery operated, like cars, robots, right? You're going to need power for that. And we're going to need a heck of a lot more power to power all these things. China's in the lead right now when it comes to power generation. They're going to be at like 30 gigawatts or more than that in the next couple of years here. The U.S. has to keep up with the pace of advancement in technologies and obviously AI and robotics as well. So we definitely need to get a handle on this. Continuing on here, the energy will be supplied through the grid rather than directly from the nuclear plant as initially planned. We talked about this in the past as well on this deal here. This was a deal from 2024 where they bought facility next to the Susquehanna power facility there. I think it was like 700 megawatts that was available to them there. There was a lot of pushback on being behind the meter, because then they wouldn't have to pay for like the transmission fees and things like that, right? Which would take out a lot of revenue for the grid there. So that's not going through here. They're going the regular way. So this arrangement will help support the energy grid's maintenance through service fees paid by Amazon. So they're going to be paying a little bit higher fee there on what normal people would pay. Probably a better deal than what you and I would pay, but they're still going to be contributing to the grid there, which is good. Going down here, there was another part of it as well that mentioned something here. Here we go. More recently, on June 3rd, social media and tech corporation Meta agreed to purchase 1.1 gigawatts of nuclear power from Constellation over 20 years to power AI facilities. Right, so you're seeing these big guys going directly to the power producers. And we've seen Microsoft also get in bed with the 3 Mile Island facility there. I think that's Constellation as well, I think, for a number of years. I think that's 20 years as well. So you're seeing these big guys going in directly for this nuclear power potential. So what does that mean for companies like IREN, Cipher that have sites that have megawatts, but they don't have maybe direct deals with the power companies. Can that still be changed around in favor of them using those sites for hyperscalers? Possibly, right? Time will tell. I think if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen later on this year, potentially. I don't know exactly when, but something should happen. If it's going to happen, I think it's going to happen within the next 6 months here. And then I think things will get revalued for all the miners, potentially. If one of them gets, if IREN gets it, or Riot gets it, Cipher gets it, or somebody, I think we'll reprice the other miners that are going for HPCI data center sites. And that should be a big win for us here, but we'll see on that one. Okay. Also, United States President Donald Trump has repeatedly voiced calls to dedicate more resources to nuclear power production to meet the demands of AI, cryptocurrency mining, and other high-performance computing applications. And I agree with that. We need to get back into the building days, I guess, of the United States, right? Building out infrastructure, building out capacity, building out more generation and things like that. We need that if we're going to be competitive and on the world stage when it comes to all these technologies here. So, and if we want to be a leader too, we need to do this. So I'm all for that. I don't always agree with President Donald Trump on things, but on this, I do agree with him on it 100% here. We definitely need to do this. So hopefully that gets done here for us. All right, so that's it for the news segment here on what we got. Let's take a look at some metrics on the miners here really quick, because we didn't do a video yesterday. So we're going to look at the miners here versus Bitcoin this past week. How did they do, and how have they done so far from their 52-week lows to their 52-week highs here? And we can see that we got basically one miner here that's outperforming in the last 52 weeks to Bitcoin, and that's BitDeer. That's up 146% here. Strategy is still outperforming everybody here. It's up 273% from its bottom this year, well, last 52 weeks. And then we got Bitcoin being up 115% still, so that's doing really good here. Hut 8 is up 110%, pretty close to Bitcoin. Cipher, same thing, 106%. Then we got IREN at 98%, Core at 95%, Riot at 65% roughly, Marathon at 61%, Hive at 54%, Cleanspark at 50%, Bitfarms at 29% there, as it is. So that's kind of where they stack there. For last week, Bitcoin was up 4%. IREN and Riot more or less came close to that, at least stayed within 4%. Strategy was only up 1%. Marathon was 0. Core was down 0, basically just down a little bit here, a fraction of a percent. Cleanspark was down 1%, along with Hut 8. Cipher was down 2%, and then Hive and Bitfarms were down 3%, and BitDeer was actually down 5% on that one. From 4 weeks ago, things changed a little bit here for us. Bitcoin's down 5% from there. And we can see that, well, pretty much everybody here outperformed Bitcoin except for Bitfarms and BitDeer. But everybody else has outperformed, with the biggest gains here coming in from Riot at 19%, followed by Core, along with IREN, and then the rest, as you can see. On the 8 weeks, things definitely change again here. Bitcoin's up 13%. Bitfarms still way lagging, down 16%. IREN at this point is up 56%, best performer there from 8 weeks ago, along with Core being up 46%, followed by Hut 8 at 37%, and Riot at 31%. And everybody, well, let's see, Strategy hasn't performed as well as Bitcoin here. Neither has Cleanspark, and Hive are the only ones here that haven't really performed that well compared to Bitcoin. On the 12-week chart here, well, now things look a little bit more different. Bitcoin's up 22%, and pretty much everybody has outperformed in some degree to Bitcoin. Biggest gainer was IREN here, 68% here, followed by Cipher at 62%, Core at 62% as well, and then Hut 8 at 57% here. What do these guys all have in common? AI plays potentials. Right, it seems like that's starting to bounce some of these stocks back up here based on that, just what I can gather at least from here. All right, so there's the weekly on that one. We can see the table here, how things have played out over the last couple of weeks. We've had a mixed week last week, a more green week with the prior week, and then we've had basically 2 red weeks in a row and a bunch of green, bunch of red as it was. All right, next here, let's take a quick look at the stock performance of these guys here over certain time frames as well. I like looking at this at least every couple of weeks just to see where we are right now. If we look at where we started, basically at the bottom of 2022, at the end of 2022, basically where things bottomed out for us. I'm looking at the beginning of the year for 2023 here. We can see that IREN is the only one that has been outperforming here. Bitcoin, it's up 773%. So if you bought IREN at the bottom, you're doing very, very well. Bitcoin's up 527%. Cipher's up 514%, pretty close to that as well. 378% for Cleanspark. Hut 8 is up 351%, Marathon 350%, Core 251%, Riot 201%, Bitfarms only 99%, Hive 24%, and BitDeer, I don't have data for them from that time frame because they weren't public at that point yet. If we look at from the beginning of 2024, Well, at that point, things definitely look a little bit different here. Bitcoin's up 132%. The only one that has outperformed has been CORZ Scientific. As you recall, CORZ Scientific got out of bankruptcy at that point, right? It was way beaten down. So that one's done really well there. IREN at 52%, was 53. BitDeer at 52 as well. HUT at 46. And then we got a bunch of miners here in the red here. Cypher, Cleanspark, Marathon, Riot, Hive, and Bitfarms, all in the red since 2024, the beginning of that. If we look at the middle of 2024, Bitcoin is now performing everybody at 66% up. Everybody has underperformed here. BitDeer, Core, and HUT 8, along with Riot, were at least somewhat positive since then. Cypher, IREN, Marathon, Hive, Cleanspark, and Bitfarms have all been negative here for us in the past year. So basically looking at from last year, right? And then price difference from the beginning of the fourth quarter of 2024. You got BitDeer outperforming then at that point. Bitcoin's up 72% roughly. HUT 8 at 56, Riot at 43%, IREN at 35% being up from there, and Cleanspark up 11%, Cypher up 9%. So things are starting to turn around a little bit better for the miners here a little bit. Core and Marathon up just a little bit, Hive down along with Bitfarms from that point. And then when we look at from the beginning of this year right now, we got Bitcoin being up 7.9% from the beginning of the year, Cleanspark up 1.8%. So that's the only one that has still stayed at least somewhat positive for this year, the beginning of this year. Everybody else is in the negative here, with Bitfarms being down the most, 47%, followed by BitDeer down 40%. And then if we look at from the Trump tariffs, right, when he announced those on 4/2, we can see that from that point, IREN is the best performer here, up 53%, followed by Cypher at 48%, Core at 43%, BitDeer at 43% as well, HUT 8 at 37%, Bitcoin's at 26%. Rise up 26, Marathon 23, Cleanspark 19, Hive 18, and Bitfarms is actually negative on that one. And I thought, is there another one that I have here? This is May numbers right now, I think. No. Don't go by those. That's something that I've been working on here. But this is the way things are stacking up right now for the miners as it is. So at times they do perform really well compared to Bitcoin. This cycle has not been like the last cycle we have seen back in 2021, where the miners were outperforming tremendously. Why do we have that? I think it's mainly because Bitcoin is acting differently. As I've talked about it before, Bitcoin last cycle, right, would have these huge run-ups, quick corrections, 30, 35%, maybe even 38% corrections within a matter of days. It wasn't a matter of weeks, months, like we've seen this time around. We've already had two major corrections in Bitcoin going down at least 30%, and they've lasted. It's completely different from last cycle. That's been having an impact on the miners as well because they've been beaten down because of it. When that does happen, Bitcoin goes down 30%, miners go down 60, 70%. So hopefully the next 6 months will be better for not only Bitcoin, but also for the Bitcoin miners, as long as Bitcoin can sustain a prolonged growth phase, right? So if it can go up to 150,000, 200,000, whatever it might be, without having a 5 month correction going down 30%, miners, I would think, would perform very well here. But only time will tell on that one. Okay, so there's that one. Next metric I want to take a look at really quick here is enterprise to market cap. So this is the way we look at this, is the enterprise value versus market cap. Enterprise value is calculated as market cap plus debt minus cash minus HODL. Basically, I'm taking that all out. Later on, we do include HODL here as well. But looking at the chart here, we can see enterprise value for these guys. Mara has the highest enterprise value, 4.5 billion, followed by Core at 4.4 billion roughly, and then Hive having the lowest here at 264 million as it is. Cypher being up at 1.5, BitDeer at 2.6, along with IREN being around 2.7, Cleanspark right around there as well, 2.67, something like that. So those are the enterprise value metrics here. Market caps of these guys, Hive at 295 million, Cypher 1.4, so pretty close to the enterprise value as it is. IREN at 2.3, so that's lower than what their enterprise value is actually right now. BitDeer at 2.6, that's pretty even right now as it is. Cleanspark at 2.7, that's pretty close to where they are with their enterprise value, actually a little higher. Riot right now is 3.6 market cap. Their enterprise value is 2.7, so they're definitely getting a little bit of a premium there. CORZ at 4.4, same as their enterprise value, so they're being valued pretty fairly there based on that. Mara at 5.3 billion market cap, they're getting a little bit of a premium here, but obviously we're not including HODL for some of these guys here as it is. Right, so if we take a market cap minus enterprise value, the difference between that, IREN is down 379 million from where they should be valued just on their enterprise value. Cypher is down 52 million, Core down 1.1. BitDeer is actually up 0.22, Cleanspark's up 33 million, Hive is up 30 million, and then Mara is up 823 million, and Riot's up 845 million as it is right now. Now, when we include HODL into this picture here, things should change quite dramatically, and they did. Mara is now undervalued by 4.4 billion if you include their HODL position and their amounts. Cleanspark should be as low 1.3 billion. Riot is low 1.2 billion. IREN is low 380 million. Cypher 155 million. BitDeer 144. Core 128, and Hive just 34 million as it is. Okay, so I like to look at that every once in a while just to see what the enterprise value is to market cap comparison. Where do they stand in relation, right? So enterprise value is basically what somebody would pay for them at that point. So are they at least getting valued at that point or not? And some of these guys are not getting valued at that as it is. Okay, so there's that one. And then lastly, here we're going to take a look at the shorted data that we have on these guys here. I pulled this in. This is the latest that we have as of the end of May. So this is as of May 30th, I believe, data that we have on these guys here. Current number of shares shorted here. We can see that Marathon has 87 million shares shorted, Riot 82.9 roughly, Cleanspark 72, Core 46 million, Cypher 41, IREN 23, almost 24, BitDeer 23, and Hive only 11.6 million there. Percent of average floated short. BitDeer is the most shorted miner right now, 29.56% being shorted. Cleanspark 26.46, Marathon 25.45, Riot 25%, Cypher 18%, Core 18%, IREN 10%, and Hive 6.4%. BitDeer, there's also a short report from some guys on them, and they have a whole list of reasons why they think the stock should be shorted there. I can't remember the name of the company right now off the top of my head that's got the short report on them as it is. So maybe they have a little bit of an impact on them. BitDeer has also done very well here in the past. Not so much recently here. It's been coming down, and I think maybe because of the amount of shorts that are getting into shorting BitDeer as it is right now here. In this chart over here, we have shares shorted value versus market cap. Marathon, like we talked, 5.4 billion, right? And their amount being shorted here is 1.3 billion as it is. Wow, got a burp. And then the rest you can see as well. I'm not going to go through that details, but here's the number of shares shorted change from last time. So last time was basically 2 weeks ago when we covered this. We get these updates every 2 weeks or so on these guys. Cypher, big increase here. 8.24 million shares added to short position here. Hive 1.61 million. Core only 0.39. And then we've had a number of these guys being seeing declines in the shorts. So we've seen Riot, BitDeer go down 0.23 million. Riot about 2 million here. Cleanspark about 2.9 million. IREN, pretty sizable decrease here of 6.3 million. And Marathon down 7.3 million as it is. On that one. Percent from last time, so we're looking at the percentage that has changed here from last time. IREN's down 20% on the short. Marathon's down 7%. Cleanspark's down 3.8. Riot is down 2.3. BitDeer 0.97. CORZ up 0.84. Hive up 16%. And Cypher up 24% as a percentage change as it is on that one. And then from here we can see the price change percentage from the 12 weeks ago on these guys here. IREN having a really good time, right? 67% up. And it's the shorts are basically covering, right? They're going down 20% and the amount of being short. So you can see how that's playing out as well. So Cypher's actually gone up here. It's done pretty good here. Maybe that's why they're shorting it a little bit more here. Core, same thing, up a little bit. But BitDeer has come down. Riot has come down. Cleanspark, Hive, and Hive has actually gone up. But Marathon has come down in the number of shorts here. So here are the way things have stacked up for these guys here. BitDeer, we're seeing a continuation of increases in them. It's down a little bit here from the prior report, and I probably should update this for the latest data that I have. Sorry, I keep forgetting to update this chart. There we go. Okay, so yeah, it's been coming down a little bit here ever since 430. 430 was their high on them. Cypher, kind of up and down all over the place, but this is a new high for them, 41.96 million shares shorted there. That's interesting. Cleanspark has been coming down after being at 90.71 million shares shorted there. So that is nice to see that continuation of declines there. The last 3 reports. Then we've seen Core here. Core has also been coming down here from a high of 47.62 million here. It has been coming down a little bit, but it had a little bit of a bump here last report, not much. Hive, same thing. That one's kind of been bouncing around 11 to 10 million shares shorted there, not too much. IREN, 30 million was the high just last report. This current one's down to 23. That's the lowest they've had in the last 4 reports here. And then Marathon here was a high of 94.8 million just last report. This current one is down to 87, so maybe we're going to see some more covering from the shorts there. And finally, Riot. Riot high short was 86.66 million here, back on 331, and it has been kind of coming down up a little bit and back more down here. So that's also interesting to see that their shorts are covering on that one as well. All right, so that's it. A lot of data for you guys. This data will be available to the Patreon members. The link will be down in the description for that if you want to join. All you guys in the Patreon, thank you so much for your continued support. Greatly appreciate you guys. I will get this out to you guys if it's not too. I might be able to get it out tonight. It's only 9:45 before I go to bed. So I'll get this out to you guys tonight. And yeah, you guys will have all the latest data on this stuff that I have. Okay, so that is it. Let's get into Q&A. Call it a day. See what we got going on here. A lot of stuff that we covered here. So see if you guys have any questions on any of this stuff. And right now, 88% of you still think that we will not get a rate cut here happening this week, which is kind of interesting. So we'll see if that's going to be the case or not. Are you guys going to be right or are you guys going to be wrong? I'm thinking, I'm on the fence on it. I think we might see some rate cuts. I think we're due for them. We'll see. All right. As always, questions, if you guys could preface those with a question mark or a Q, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm going to scroll my way up and work my way down on the questions here. So let's see if we got any questions here. Okay. Yellow Gambler asks, are you joining the lawsuit against Bitfarms? No, I am not going to be joining it. No, I won't join anything. Everything that I do is up to me, right? Nobody forced my hand to buy their shares or anything like that. I do the research on these things and I go the way I want to go. If something doesn't work out, well, that's on me, right? I should have seen the things on the wall or the writing on the wall, whatever it is. I'm not going to sue anybody for it. Trites has a question. Where did everybody go? Low viewers on a Monday. Did those people try to short BTC, got wrecked through the weekend? Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it ebbs and flows with the viewers, depending on what's going on here. Bitcoin's doing well, miners are doing good. People start returning. Bitcoin miners don't do that well. Viewership drops. Always happens here. Sadie, thank you so much for coming in again. Thank you for the likes reminder. Let's see. Okay. Sarah Mellon's got a question. Bitfarms reverse split in 2025 or 2026? They don't really need to. They got, 550 million shares. We got other companies that are close to 400 million shares as it is right now. Do they really need to do a reverse split? Maybe they need to do a reverse split if the stock stays below $1, but we'll see if they do one. But they have the optionality to do it if they want to. All right, Daryl's got a question here. With Cleanspark's market cap being down 39% in the last year, which is the most of all miners, compared to BTC being up 61%, do you think that Cleanspark will have the biggest rebound from here? It is possible, right? We're seeing that already from the beginning of this year that it has performed pretty well compared to the other miners. It's not down as much as some of the other miners are. It's actually in the green here right now compared to them. So that might be a good sign here, but we'll see. Let's see, Yellow Gambler Pie Market is saying that there will be no change in rates this week. 90% chance there will be no change. Oh, 90%. Okay, is that what Pie Market is saying? Let me see. Is that what I saw there, or did I misread that? Let's see, the Martini guy. Let's see, no change. Oh, no change. Yeah, you're right. Okay, I did read that wrong. Let me see here. Go to the screen here. Here it is. So Fed decision in June. No change, 97.5%. You're right. So the Martini guy looks like was incorrect. Update: Pie Market users predict a 97% chance that the Fed will cut rates this week. No change. Huh. Okay. So you're right. So maybe the Fed will not. So maybe you guys are right at 89%. You guys don't think. I would like to see a rate cut. I think that would be helpful, but we'll see. So let me see, where do I want to go? I want to go back here. Okay, so Yellow, you are correct. Thank you for the correction there. Meta Planet here. Miners are absolute trash. Why are y'all still suffering with them? Buy the treasures before they get too expensive. Meta Planet, TSWCF. There's always, you can do that as well. But have they gone up too high already? Do they need a little pullback? Sometimes it happens. BA2 here, question, will there be any minor consolidation going forward? I don't know. I think right now the valuations are pretty low on some of these guys here, but still, I mean, Hive would be the only one that'd be kind of attractive to maybe to somebody. Maybe at $300 some odd million there. That might be one to pick up. Some of the smaller miners also maybe, like DMG, some of the other ones that are in there. Maybe. But I don't think anybody's going to be looking to be sold, at least not right now. Everybody's going to be thinking that Bitcoin's going to go up here, the valuation's going to go up. I don't think they're going to be looking to sell, but you never know. Let's see. Sergio says, miners should be correlated with BTC, but this cycle they behave like altcoins, completely wrecked. Yeah, this cycle they have been acting completely differently from last cycle. I'm still hopeful that they can correct, and going forward the next 6 months plus maybe, they can do better, but time will tell on that one. Sadie, thank you so much for the thumbs up there. All right. You think Riot will renew their offer to buy Bitfarms at 230 again if Ben goes to Jason and says, pretty please? No, I don't think that's happening at all. Let's see. Metaplan says, Cleanspark has a negative correlation to BTC. Brutal. A lot of these guys have a negative correlation right now as it is. Let's see. Neil Weston says, I think Trump only wanted USD down, but I knows not why. I don't think, well, they want to refinance the debt, so that's one thing. That's why they want the US dollar down, but they also want the bonds to go down as well. See, true inflation in USD accumulated for years. Yes, it's closer to 8.5. If you, yeah, depending on what way you look at it. Omar here. Do you have any of the HPCI companies we follow have clients lined up? CORZ Scientific has CoreWeave, and DGX has Supermicro computers, but any other deals signed? I have not seen anything else major. I mean, we have CoreWeave Scientific. We got Galaxy with CORZ Scientific as well. We have Applied Digital with CORZ Scientific as well, right? That's another one. So that's CORZ Scientific has kind of gone to those three guys right now as it is. TeraWolf has Core 42 as a customer there. Other than that, Hut 8 is rumored to be in bed with Meta there for the plant in Louisiana. We don't have anything concrete on it, so who knows? See, Karan says, Seb, I lost money in Bitfarms, recovered in Hut 8 and Griffin, all in on these two. Okay. Yeah, luckily I sold a bunch of it when Bitfarms was higher. When I told you guys back in November, December, I sold 2/3 of my position there, so I was in the green. I'm in the red right now as it is with Bitfarms, but the profits that I had still far made up for what I'm in the red right now as it is. So we'll see how Bitfarms does going forward. All right, question from Ron Paul Bott here. Why did Bitfarms fail so much? Was it just the selling of their international site? That was part of it. Them not reaching the 21 exahash was another part of it. I think also them not providing monthly updates going forward was a part of it. A lot of changes in basically the path going forward for them, right? So a big pivot from overseas to more into the United States, which I think is a good thing. But then I think just not reaching the 21 exahash target was one of the reasons why I got kind of dumped on. The number of shares increased quite a bit as well from them buying Stronghold as well, but they got something for it, and maybe they can get something HPCI related for it as well. We'll see. All right. Let's see. CG says, anyone that is still here are not leaving. We know what we hold. Correct. BTC is near all-time high, and the hype is effing zero right now. Yeah, it's now retail. Retail has not really gotten into it just yet. The retail is playing a much smaller part of it than it has in the past. In the past cycles, retail was the one that was driving it more so than anything else. Will that turn around as Bitcoin goes up in value? Maybe, right? I have one story I can share with you guys. Somebody that I know bought Bitcoin at 84,000, 86,000. Saw it go up to 106, 109,000, and it came back down to like 78,000. Panic and sold just to get out at even at 84. Now it's at 112,000 right again. So you have those types of people as well that just don't have the conviction going forward. They get into it, they get stamped on once, and they run. So, we shall see. All right, Sean's got a question here. In your opinion, do you think by the end of July, Bitcoin or Riot will be more in price due to all the adoption that is happening? I would, yes, I think Bitcoin's going to be higher in price. Will Riot be higher in price because of it? I think so as well. As long as Bitcoin goes up in value, I think Riot and the rest of the miners will go up in value. Okay. Gary's got a question here. Oracle announced last week they plan to buy 5 gigawatts, not gigabytes of energy sites to be active by the end of 2026. They have said they want minimum site size 1 gigabyte. Are there enough 1 gigabyte sites in US to meet this? Well, IREN's got one site that's 2 gigawatts, right? So there's one possibility there that if they go for it. They're also working with SoftBank, right? Part of that, what is that? Was it Star something? I can't remember what that plan is by the Trump administration there to build out HPCI. So they're working there, and they have I think it's 1 gigawatt plus site that they're working on already. So they still need, I guess, would be maybe 4 more gigawatts total. IREN has that. Riot has 600 megawatts available, so that's pretty close. And if they got rid of all their Bitcoin mining at Corsicana, they could, I think, have 1 gigawatt there. Cypher's got some sites as well that are smaller. I don't think any of them are directly 1 gigawatt or more, but they do have smaller sites that are like 300, 500 megawatts, I believe. So there's potential there. Hut 8 might have something there with the site that they're building out in Louisiana. I don't know exactly what the megawatts are going to be on that one. Who else would have something like that? I think that's the only ones I can think of right now. That would be that size right now as it is. But yeah, that's definitely that's a lot of megawatts, gigawatts even. B82 says buying Bitfarms and Hives, at some point they will run. One would think so, right? This time around, this cycle, they have not performed well. I don't know whether that's because they're Canadian miners, whether that had an impact on them not being able to get a lot of the attention from the US-based investors. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. That might have played into it. Bitfarms had issues last year, which they're correcting. And can they correct those correctly and move forward and be appreciated for it? Maybe. Hive was slow to grow. They definitely put the foot down on the pedal here this time around in the last, I would say, 6 months, with being very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very gung-ho, I guess you could say, on growth, which I love seeing that. So I wish them all the best there. See, YKY says, very hard to believe there will be a euphoric surge on these miners to save our bags, even with 150,000 Bitcoin. Miners will bleed whenever there is a small correction on BTC along the way. They do seem to bleed more on the down days. I'll give you that. But like I said, we need Bitcoin to be basically going up steadily here without these prolonged and extended corrections of 30%, even 15%, whatever it might be. See, BT2 says BTC new all-time high this week, maybe during Thursday, Juneteenth celebration. Maybe. That'd be nice to see. Let's see. Okay. YOLO question here. Any news on the restoration of power at Bitfarms Argentina site? Thanks. No, I haven't. I even reached out to Ben and Bitfarms there on X, just to see can they provide any kind of update on that. Has the power been restored? And I haven't heard anything back from them yet. So it doesn't seem like it. I think they would have came out with a press release saying, hey, power has been restored. We're, 12% of our operations are back online, but we haven't seen anything on that. So I'm guessing it hasn't. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it. Cut up to all you guys' questions here. We're doing good. 10 o'clock. Pretty good night tonight. 45 minutes. I love it. We'll take it. So we'll leave it at that. We'll see what happens later on this week. We'll see where the conflict with Iran and Israel takes us. Will the U.S. get involved? Hopefully it doesn't, but you never know. Hopefully it gets resolved quickly here. Hopefully. Like anything else, we don't want anything that's prolonged or anything like that. And the less bloodshed, the better, I think. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. We'll see what the Fed does, whether the Fed is going to cut or not. We'll see what happens with Bitcoin later on this week as well. We'll see how it does tomorrow. We got other things we're going to take a look at as well for the metrics on the miners going into tomorrow and anything else. So thank you again, everyone, for coming in. As always, greatly appreciate you guys. Love you all. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening if you're my time, and if you're starting morning Tuesday someplace, I hope you guys have a great Tuesday, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Until then.